We're going to be going over basically the extremely expensive downfall of this individual, Kevin David. And personally, I do not know that much about Kevin David, except for that a few years ago, he was getting a lot of heat for pretty much copying and pasting people's YouTube videos, sometimes even saying word for word exactly what was inside another person's YouTube video. Like that's really what I knew about him, and also that he did something with like Amazon FBA. Now, the interesting thing about this is that probably based on the title or thumbnail, you probably know that he has basically been sued and found liable by the FTC for pretty much a massive amount of money, about $53 million, and is basically forced to pay, I think, about 2.6 million. We're going to literally go over like the actual FTC announcements, but it's quite literally insane, right? Because look, there's other people that sell like programs or products or whatever, but for the FTC to actually find you liable for that type of stuff, you have to basically be making claims that are so outrageous or basically just not really giving the people anything near what they actually bought. So, this is also another thing about Kevin David. Now, before we actually get into like these FTC things that we're actually going to cover, this is his YouTube channel, right? So it seems like this has been basically kind of like working on in the back end for like the past 3 months because he hasn't been like uploading videos in the past 3 months. Now, what's also interesting from my very brief research, right, that say you were to go onto his official website, right, and you were to try to like book now or like get started with free training or whatever scale business or whatever, basically trying to potentially get onto a call for a potential sale of a program or automation thing or whatnot. And well, you just get basically forced into this, well, one of his companies, which is basically like a program, right? That basically just helps you find products on Amazon. Because I believe, based off the wording of the FTC announcement, that him and his partner legally can never sell anything related to like coaching programs ever again due to how serious of a situation that they were found liable for, which is crazy, right? And what's even crazier, right? Like the type of money that Kevin David was making from his YouTube channel alone was insane, right? He's even shown like some of his income results from YouTube before, where he could technically have just been doing YouTube full time and literally clearing like 500K a year just from YouTube ad revenue without even selling any products. But let's actually get into the FTC stuff. So, from the Federal Trade Commission .gov website, right? Consumer.ftc.gov, and it's basically talking about this. So, business opportunities in trainings that claim you'll make big money are often scams. Dreaming about making extra cash with an online business or by trading cryptocurrency? Are you ready to ditch the 9 to 5 life to be your own boss? You might see business opportunities in training programs marketed to supposedly help make that happen. But big promises of big money are one sign that you've run into a scam. Take DK Automation LLC, for example. According to a complaint by the FTC, the company and its creators, Kevin David Hulse and David Arnett, promised huge returns to trick people into buying business opportunities and training programs. The claim? They could teach you how to build, open, and run massively profitable stores on Amazon, but says the FTC those claims were deceptive or flat out false. Most people who buy DK Automation's programs never earned and even lost money. Okay? And DK Automation also offered investment training that promised to show people how to secure cryptocurrency riches for fees of $20,000 to $85,000. Okay? That company offered a trading bot to invest in crypto and supposedly make lots of money. But the FTC says that this claim also turned out to be a bust. Like, oh my god. The kind of balls you have to actually try to sell a crypto trading bot is insane, right? And here's the thing, right? I don't have anything against people who would like sell a product, right? Sell a coaching program, sell a course, or whatever. I have no issues about that, right? In fact, if you go into the description of this video, right, and you were to click the link and you basically say, like, hey, you want to learn how to get out of debt? Do you want to learn how I got out of debt and grew my net worth? I don't make any other claims other than this is the process that I used to get out of debt and grew my net worth. Very simple process. If you want to learn that, you can as well, right? I don't make any crazy promises. I don't make any kind of claims like you can make passive income, you could ditch your 9 to 5 life or whatever. It's just I make the claim that like, hey, if you're able to get out of debt, right? And if you were to learn how to get out of debt in the way that I got out of debt, you would be allowed to have a little bit more freedom in terms of your money. Like, it's not that big of a thing. It's like you have more margin. When you have less expenses, you have more margin. It's as simple as that. But he must have been claiming like insane things for the FTC to literally go after him to this extent. And but also not to this extent, but also basically to force him to pay and also prevent him from selling any sort of coaching program ever again. That is insane. Although I think technically maybe it might be like 10 years, but it's still insane. Let's see. So if you're looking for a business opportunity or training in investments or business development, do your research, search online for information about the company with words like scam and complaint. The only problem with about this is that some people may just be like customers of a product but just don't like the product or just don't like the individual potentially. So that's kind of like an iffy one, but at the same time, always like if you feel pressured into doing something, don't do it. Straight up, right? And here's the thing, if this audience of this show were to ever get big enough to where I would have like a like crazy amount of customers, like hey, guess what? Like never feel like pressure to ever buy anything, period, right? I just try to give simple advice financially speaking that like I would understand, right? That's it. Like I don't try to make any sort of like crazy thing. It's just like this is how I know how to do it. Do you want to learn like that? Cool. You know? Let's see. Steer clear of companies that use high pressure sales tactics. It's a red flag if someone says you must act immediately or discourage you from taking time to do some research. Yeah. Like, you want to take your research. Like, if you don't think it's worth it, then don't buy it. Like, ugh, Lord. Question claims about future riches. Yeah. Big one. Definitely question claims about that. So promises that you'll beat the stock market, which can't really ever happen, like the S&P 500 alone pretty much beats the majority of hedge funds. Make over-the-top profits, that will always be iffy. Be able to quit your job. You should definitely have an emergency fund before you were to ever quit your job and make sure that you have something lined up that would provide you some sort of income. And live a life of luxury are strong indications of a scam. Yeah. Don't trust anyone who says you can quickly and easily make money in the cryptocurrency markets. Only scammers will guarantee profits or big returns, and all investments come with risk. For example, right? There was like a trader at one of the very big financial companies that returned like a 9-figure return. Like I'm talking like hundreds of millions of dollars for like a return. But guess what? This individual did the craziest trade ever by basically putting all the money he had into Dogecoin. Okay? And rode that up to basically the peak and then sold it because he figured that Elon Musk might just pump it up and then bam, end up profiting from it. Like that is a crazy, crazy, crazy trade. Like once in a lifetime, you basically won the lottery like 20 times in a row type of situation, right? Like, and the thing is, cryptocurrency is such a sketchy market. And the thing is, I personally like cryptocurrency. I think it's a cool thing. I think it's cool tech. I kind of like Bitcoin, but at the same time, don't put a whole bunch of money into cryptocurrency and definitely don't just assume that you're basically going to be making money from cryptocurrency easily or that like someone might have a path of basically making a crazy amount of money from cryptocurrency. Like it's just such a massive scam. Like, oh Lord. Let's see. Let's check out the other FTC one as well. So, FTC takes action to stop DK Automation and Kevin David Holst from pitching phony Amazon and crypto money making schemes. Again, this is from the FTC.gov website. This isn't like a hate blog towards them. This is from the government, the federal government, right? The Federal Trade Commission is taking action against DK Automation and its owners, Kevin David Holst and David Sean Arnett, for using unfounded claims of big returns to entice consumers into money making schemes involving Amazon business packages, business coaching, and cryptocurrency. The FTC's complaint alleges that the defendants promised consumers that they could generate passive income on autopilot. Like, hey, guess what? If anyone were to ever claim that you could generate passive income on autopilot, they are completely full of dog, you know what? Because that is such bullcrap. Like, like the fact, and by the way, they have this in quotes, meaning that they probably use this in some sort of marketing material or even the sales page, which is beyond one, stupid, and then two is like, it is so wrong to basically try to like prey on people probably in a very weak situation where they are looking for something like that. They want something so badly for that and they just get completely screwed over. Like here's the thing about passive income. I think there's really technically only like kind of two ways that you could technically make passive income. One is by literally putting your money into basically some sort of index fund, right? As an example, like the S&P 500 and like get the dividends out of it. But guess what? The dividends aren't that big. You need a lot of money put into it for it to actually be worthwhile. Like and also you got to also hope that the United States basically just doesn't collapse, right? Now, I personally believe in the future of the United States, but at the same time, there's always a risk, right? Always a risk. Period. End of story. By the way, you could end up having like a year where you're like 20% down in the stock market, which has been going on. And just recently, the S&P 500 has basically recovered a little bit. Just recently. But that might crash again, depending on what the Fed does, right? Another one for like passive income is by basically being an investor into a company, but you're not necessarily actively working into that company. Basically, like you're a shareholder, aka similar to what I said about the S&P 500. Let's say that you were an investor early on into like let's say Facebook, right? you're probably going to get some form of dividends, some sort of profit sharing potentially from that business. But the same thing could be said that like you could just be a part owner of a company, but you don't have necessarily an active role in that company, right? But at the same time, you still have to put in some effort no matter what just to manage things. Unless you were to pay someone to manage the stuff for you, like an assistant or something, which in a sense isn't actually passive. So, let's see. The truth was that few consumers ever made money from these schemes. So DK Automation ripped off consumers by manipulating reviews. Well, that's interesting. And making empty promises of big returns on cryptocurrency investment schemes and bogus business programs, said Samuel Levine, director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection. They ignored warnings that these practices were illegal and now they are paying the price. Oh my god. So, from that wording, did the FTC basically like tell them like early on, like let's just say like a year ago, like, hey guys, what you guys are kind of doing is kind of sketchy. Can you guys make some changes to make it like legal, like more black and white instead of in the gray zone? If they literally ignored warnings from the FTC saying like, hey, change something, otherwise this is going to get really bad for you guys, and they just ignored it, that is so insane. They get everything that's basically coming for them if they completely ignored the FTC, right? I mean, like literally, in quotes, they ignored warnings. So a proposed court order would require the defendants to turn over 2.6 million to be used to refund consumers harmed by their deception, as well as requiring them to stop their deceptive earnings pitches and follow the law. Which also, by the way, within this court order, right? If it is found that they are hiding money in any form, right? Or that they basically lied about how much money that they actually had basically available to them in their companies and whatnot, they're basically going to be forced to pay the full $53 million price, which is crazy, right? So let's actually pull this up, right? Federal Trade Commission, blah, 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 blah. Let's see the price. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Let's see. Judgment in the amount of $52,929,621.74, right, is entered in favor of the Commission against defendants jointly and severely as monetary relief. The defendants are ordered to pay the Commission $2,600,000, which, as defendants stipulate, their undersigned counsel holds in escrow for no purpose other than payment to the Commission, meaning that they've already have this lined up to pay the fee, right? So such payment must be made within 7 days of the entry of this order, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Let's see. And so basically, the FTC agreement to the suspension of part of the judgment, basically why they agreed to allow it to be lower, right, is expressly premised upon the truthfulness, accuracy, and completeness of defendants' sworn financial statements and related documents, collectively financial representations submitted to the Commission, namely the financial statement of Kevin David, financial statement of David Sean, the financial statement of the corporate defendants, Amazon Automation, the DK Automation, and the financial statement of corporate defendant, That Lifestyle Ninja, right? And the financial statement of corporate defendant, Digital Ninjas, and the financial statement of corporate defendant Proficient Supply LLC signed by David Arnett, and the financial statement of subsidiary Zonbase, right? Which, by the way, Zonbase is pretty much the only thing that pretty much exists, I think, now, other than the YouTube channel, right? Meaning that's pretty much like I think basically the YouTube channel and Zonbase is pretty much the only like big money that Kevin David might really be making now, right? Or people like connected to this whole thing. Because like this is a very serious thing. Because he's found liable. Like not just liable, but basically if he like plays around and tries to skirt this, it could be really bad. Like really bad. So let's go back. So the proposed court order will require the defendants to turn over the 2.6 million to be used to refund consumers, and as well requiring them to stop their deceptive earnings, pitches, and follow the law, which basically also what I showed here, where if you go like basically Amazon done for you, the passive income, blah 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 kind of nonsense, right? If you were to go here, automatically goes to their, you know, technically their, what's the best way to put it? Their app, probably. That just basically helps you pretty much find good Amazon products. I don't know if it actually is good or not. I don't know. But it's interesting that pretty much this is the only thing that really is surviving after this whole fiasco, right? So it might be his play to really try to grow this to really make it big, because this could technically still make him potentially millions of dollars if he were to grow this and then sell it for like an exit for like a multiple, right? So the FTC's complaint notes that the defendants continued to use deceptive earnings claims even after they received notices of penalty offenses regarding money-making opportunities and endorsements from the agency. Like, think about that, right? Like I mentioned earlier, the FTC warned them. The FTC warned Kevin David, hey, you guys are pretty much breaking the law with trying to sell your programs and your products. And yet you continue to do it, right? Instead of like, I don't know, maybe changing your product offering, maybe just saying like, hey, we're not going to use these crazy earning claims, right? Maybe something more realistic, right? So the defendants sold their Amazon programs under a number of different names, including Amazon DFY, or basically AMZ DFY, Amazon Done For You, and Amazon Done With You. According to the complaint, they promised consumers a 100% turnkey business selling products on Amazon and charged consumers as much as $100,000 for the program. Like, do people not even realize just how crazy that is? That they sold a program for $100,000? Which, here's the thing. I know some people who might stumble upon this might say, like, oh, like, colleges also do that too. But the thing is, colleges don't necessarily make any claims. They just basically say, hey, want to go to this school? We got an awesome school. You'll learn stuff. By the way, if you pass, you'll get a degree. They don't make any claims like, oh, you're going to make 6 figures, you're going to make 7 figures, oh, you're going to be automatically gifted a job right after you graduate college. They don't make claims like that. Why? Because they would be sued. Like, honestly, this kind of pisses me off seeing something like this because it's just so blatantly bad, right? Like, he could have just sold a product saying like, hey, we offer this automation thing, but you still have to put some sort of input. There's nothing really guaranteed. Like, if you want to do this, it's risky, right? You could have made it a little bit more like honest, Maybe. Like, maybe honesty is good. I don't know. It's like, what the hell? You know, like again, for example, like you could go into the description of this, or even go to 40inbox.com and literally just see like, oh yeah, do you want to learn how to get out of debt? Click that. If you want to learn how I got out of debt and grew my net worth. Okay, you can learn how to do that. I don't make any claims other than basically, hey, do you want to learn how I got out of debt and grew my net worth? Cool. That's it, right? Like it's just so crazy. Like 100 grand. Like this could be like a down payment for like a mega mansion. Like this is so crazy. In addition to the Amazon business packages, the defendants also pitched supposed cryptocurrency investment services that included their number one secret passive income crypto trading bot. Like, I've never seen, well, I should say, I've never read a more scammy statement. Number one, secret passive income crypto trading bot, which they claimed could generate profits for you even while you sleep. The complaint alleges that they charge consumers thousands of dollars for these supposed services. And a June 2022 FTC data spotlight showed that in one 15-month period, consumers reported losing $575 million to cryptocurrency investment scams. Now, some of this money is involved in their stuff, but not all of it. But they're just basically saying how many people actually, like, how much money was actually lost due to cryptocurrency scams. So the FTC's complaint alleges that the defendants in the case harmed consumers by deceiving them about potential earnings. So DK Automation and its owners made multiple claims about the supposed huge profits consumers could make with their programs using testimonials that did not reflect the experience of any consumer in the FTC's investigation. And when they included disclaimers, the complaint alleges that they were in such small type or removed from the claims that they were essentially useless to consumers. Like, that's crazy. But also think about it, right? They used testimonials that did not reflect the experience of any consumer in the FTC's investigation. So, was their testimonials completely 100% fake? If that's the case, that is horrendous. And the fact that they included disclaimers but basically made it so that you can't even read it is crazy. And again, like, just be honest with the program, right? I don't, like, I understand a marketing perspective where you want to make something a little bit more enticing, but at the same time, if you're blatantly lying to potential customers as to what they are getting, hey, that ain't good in any way. So, suppressing negative reviews. In many cases, the company manipulated online reviews by falsifying positive reviews and flagging negative reviews that resulted in the removal. In addition, the company agreed to provide refunds to consumers on the condition they remove their complaints, which is basically like, I don't know, blackmail. Finally, the FTC charged that defendants threatened to sue a dissatisfied consumer who spoke about his negative experience with the company and added language to their contracts to prevent consumers from leaving negative reviews. And not only that, I believe he also tried to sue a YouTuber called CoffeeZilla, that if he were to ever speak about like Kevin David specifically, that he would basically sue him into like oblivion, which I'm just like paraphrasing, but like apparently he like threatened lawsuits that were pretty, I guess, substantial. So not providing required disclosures, so the defendants regularly failed to give consumers the information that is required by the FTC's business opportunity rule when selling their programs. These required disclosures include key information that can help consumers have a full picture about the opportunity being sold to them. Like, again, like basically, the disclosure, right, is just to make the thing honest, right? Like, again, as an example, if you were to go into the description, right? Like, hold on, like, let's see. So let's just go right here. So, 4dmbox.com, just so people can end up like, see, look, want to become debt free? Learn more, right? Get debt free program, the simple process to financial freedom, blah, blah, blah. I got debt free and grew my net worth to 200K plus, which is all true. So you will learn how to get out of debt, how to stop living paycheck to paycheck, and how to live a life that you want to live, right? Basically, it's just learning the simple steps I did to be debt free and grow my net worth every year. That's it, right? I don't make any like kind of crazy claims, right? I'm basically just saying like, hey, if you were to learn how to get debt free and you were to give yourself more margin, you will end up living a potentially better life because you will have more freedom, right? Because you're having more money come in, less money going out to debt bills. Like, what people don't even understand, like, let's take like a car loan payment. No, let's take like a car debt or the credit card payment, right? If you have a balance on a credit card, right, you're paying potentially a 20 plus interest rate, like a 20% plus interest rate, okay? That alone will give you a 20% plus return on your money by paying that down, by paying that off, right? And here's the thing, personal finance is extremely simple and not complicated at all. You could get everything related to personal finance all online for free. Period. End of story. But if you were to go down here and learn how I got out of debt and grew my net worth, you can, right? That's it. No crazy claims. Like, they must have been claiming some absolutely crazy stuff. Right? Like, I even say like, hey, you could literally text this number and see if this is right for you. That's it. Like, is it right for you? Maybe, maybe not. It's up to you. It's like, dear God, like, what the hell were they claiming over and over again? So, the enforcement action, the defendants have agreed to a proposed court order that would require them to back up their claims. So, the defendants would be prohibited from making earnings claims to consumers that are deceptive, and they would be required to have information in writing to back up their claims. Stop deceiving consumers. They would also be prohibited from misleading consumers about the nature of any good or service they sell, including the likelihood of profits, whether testimonials are reflective of a normal consumer's experience, or any other key information. Stop interfering with reviews and complaints, right? The defendants would be prohibited from taking actions that restrict consumers' ability to file complaints or leave negative reviews, including requiring consumers to sign contracts that limit their ability to complain. Meaning, basically, say that you were to stumble upon this and you were a customer of his products, his programs, even that $100,000 thing, which is crazy to me that someone would spend $100,000 on that. You could leave a comment, right, and it not be restricted, basically, right? Provide money for refunds. The defendants would be required to provide at least 2.6 million to the FTC to be used to refund consumers, which again we talked about and actually showed on the actual court order. So the order includes a total monetary judgment of nearly 53 million, which was partially suspended due to an inability to pay. Now this is pretty much mainly potentially about like him reinvesting back into his companies and all that kind of stuff, right? Which could kind of make sense, but at the same time, like, so you made 53 million over the course of your business, but you only got 2.6 million to actually pay. that's kind of iffy, Just like, really? You know? So, if the defendants are found to have lied about their financial condition, then the full amount of the judgment would be immediately due. Okay? So, they better hope that they are truly honest with the FTC about this. Because if they play around, if I should say, if they played around, they are 100% screwed. Because how on earth are you going to be able to pay 53 million right off the bat? Like, that's crazy. And the commission vote authorizing the staff to file the complaint in stipulated final order was 4-0, meaning everyone that voted on this, like, no, they are at fault. Slap them with this court order. Like, wow. The FTC filed the complaint in final order in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. The Federal Trade Commission works to promote competition and protect and educate consumers. Blah, 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 blah. Right? So, this is like crazy. Like, this is some really serious stuff, right? DK Automation, what, is there more? Don't tell me there's more stuff about this. Okay, okay. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And here's the thing, right? He still has his YouTube channel, which he probably will have this stay like alive, right? I don't know if he's going to necessarily post any videos. Maybe he might sell it. I don't know. But also, you got to keep in mind, like, think about it. So he has like 57,719,170 views on his YouTube channel. In one of the highest paying niches on YouTube, on the internet, which is basically e-commerce, make money online, work from home type of category, right? Which is potentially anywhere from like $20 per 1,000 views all the way up to like 50 plus dollars per 1,000 views. So he has potentially made hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, from his YouTube channel already, and probably averages like anywhere from like $10,000 to $40,000 a month just from YouTube ad revenue, which is crazy, right? But what's interesting, if you were to go onto, yeah, his about stuff, right? Twitter, nada, nada. This count doesn't exist. Let's see, does his Instagram still exist? The account is private, right? Like, think about this. It was so bad that he also had to change basically all of his social media situations, which is crazy. Like, I don't think any of these like program sellers or whatever, these like work from home guys or like money guys have ever been like slapped down by the FTC this hard. And I think potentially the reason why they slapped them down so hard is potentially because of the whole FTX situation, because they were dealing with cryptocurrency. At the same time, FTX pretty much screwed potentially a million customers, and also this pretty much happened roughly around the same time in terms of this court order. So who knows? I just oof. Like, this is crazy. Like, this isn't just like a fine, right? Like, a fine is like, hey, you screwed up here, you got to pay like 500 grand, you got to pay a million here, that sort of stuff, right? Which some of these big guys have done before. I think like Dean Graziosi, I think that person is like had to pay some sort of fines before, right? But like, in this situation is basically like a situation where, like, hey, if you lied about your finances, you owe us the full amount, period, end of story, right now. Like, it's just, like, they must have been making some really crazy claims. Like, they had to have been doing some really shady stuff for the FTC to go down this hard on them. Now, of course, I don't really know for sure, but just based off what is actually on the FTC thing, it's just crazy, right? Like, how could you be that, like, blatantly lying about your claims on your marketing? Like, that is just not smart to do in any situation. It's like basically like saying, like, hey, like say you were to, like, sell like a fitness program. Like, say that you're like an actual personal trainer, that you're actually good at what you do, but you make a claim saying, like, hey, you could lose 40 pounds in 1 week. Guaranteed. That's practically what they were doing. Like, with the type of claims that they were making, you could make passive income on autopilot without doing a darn thing. Just pay us 100K. Like, it's just, my lord. Like, here's the thing. If you were a customer of this whole thing, feel free to give your viewpoints. Feel free to leave your reviews about it, I guess. Because again, I don't really know much about it other than this FTC thing. I stumbled upon this FTC thing because I got recommended a random YouTube video about this whole situation. And I was like, is this true? Like, is it this crazy? And I just quickly looked at it. I'm like, oh my God, it's like beyond crazy. Like, this is so absurd of a situation. I've, like, never seen anything like this before. But also, something like this happening is actually also a good thing for consumers because it kind of goes to show you, like, you can't be screwing over customers like this to this extent, this blatantly, right? So that's actually a good thing for consumers that something like this happened to help protect other customers in the future. I feel really bad for all the customers that have been harmed by this situation. Like, here's the thing. If you stumble upon this and you paid $100,000 or more or however much, feel free to give your thoughts because, like, I really want to know what got you to spend $100,000 towards this thing. Like, it's 100 grand. Like, that is so much money. And here's the thing, like, that type of money, like, this is the thing that, like, pisses me off and kind of scares me too, right? It's like, was this $100,000 something that you, like, worked your whole life for, saved up your whole life for, and then you put something in, like, put that money into something like this? Was it something that you took out loans to pay for something like this? Like, this is a really scary situation for potentially a lot of people, which stresses me out. And I've never been involved in something like this. Is like, I can't even imagine spending $100,000 on, like, something like this. Like, I can't even imagine it. Like, it's so much money. Oh man. Yeah, just be careful out there. I mean, for scams like this to exist to this extent, it's just sad, right? Because, like, I don't know if Kevin David was personally doing, like, the selling or something. He probably had someone, like, maybe a company doing all the closing on the phone calls or whatever. But, like, I'm just imagining, like, a retired vet that is putting their whole retirement into something like this and getting completely screwed over. Like, it's just like a super sad, sad situation, right? Like, here's the thing. Only buy things that you can afford that will not affect your financial situation, like your livelihood, right? So, like, for example, let's say that you want a new pair of shoes. Only buy something that won't affect your living situation, right? So maybe you got to buy like a cheap $20 Walmart pair of shoes or cheaper, which I tend to go for like the $9 ones, but even then the quality of that is super bad. But I'm just saying, right? Maybe you got to go down that route instead of spending like a couple $100 on like Air Jordans or something, because that couple $100 might actually eat into your weekly expenses so much, like your weekly income, I should say, so much that basically you're now living paycheck to paycheck, or worse, you may have to put your like groceries on a credit card, right? Like that's the way you should view things, like in terms of like buying for stuff, right? And here's the thing: if you were to stumble upon this, and if you were to want to learn how to like how I got out of debt, like only buy that if it's not going to like financially harm yourself. Like never financially harm yourself, because that could be very hard to overcome, right? Like I don't know. Like this the thing is like it pisses me off. It kind of scares me too, and it's just depressing to see something like this happening. Like, oh man, Lord. By the way, subscribe for like news commentary, whatnot, financial commentary. This is just sad all the way around.